Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in. So today's video, I'm going to be doing an installation on the Rinehart Racing 2-in-1 exhaust for my 2018 Harley-Davidson Heritage 114. I also have the DynoJet. These are the wideband O2 sensors. DynoJet sent this to me well over a year ago, and I just never got to the video. Now the Rinehart 2-in-1 exhaust here, that is actually sponsored by a familiar name you might recognize, none other than Maxwells motorcycles. John actually has parts now listed on his website. If you're interested in not only the Rinehart 2-in-1s, but really any parts, contact John Maxwell. He can help you out. You can head over to his website. If you don't see what you're looking for, give him a shout. I'm sure he can help you out. So again, this video is sponsored by John Maxwell. I will be doing an installation as we're going through this of the DynoJet Power Vision. This is the Target Tune kit from DynoJet. This is going to be an additional video. You'll see me do the installation in these pipes, but again, this does warrant a separate video talking about Target Tune. So some real OG subscribers might remember that this 2018 Heritage, I actually had Tab Performance sponsor these slip-ons. They sound awesome, but I am looking for, well, mainly being able to put in the widebands, and the headers from the factory do not really give you any opportunity to do that. When I take these off, you will see I did have a bung welded on here in an attempt to utilize these headers. It just didn't work. They wouldn't fit. That's why those widebands ended up going in the closet for the better part, if not longer than a year. So let's go ahead and get these Rineharts unboxed and see what it is we're dealing with. After going through the unboxing, I have to say, quality-wise, I think this is already blowing me away. The way that they had this thing packaged up, very good, totally trust the shipping process, which is good because the box was actually a little bit beat up from shipping, but everything in here, not a single scratch on anything. So let's go ahead and get the old exhaust off and get this Rinehart 2-in-1 on the bike. The reason why I didn't do a step-by-step, bolt-by-bolt type of video here is because if you can't watch this and just take away from what you've seen on the video and understand what you need to do, you probably shouldn't be doing it. That's sort of my opinion. So going wrench by wrench, bolt by bolt, doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me because it's all pretty basic stuff. Now I have everything all laid out, and I want to show you guys the difference between the pipes OEM to these Rinehart pipes. And the main difference here, obviously looking at the headers, you can see these are the factory headers in their configuration. And then over here, let's just get these next to each other. You have the Rinehart headers. Just looking at this right off the bat, I can tell you that I like the scavenging setup on the Rineharts better. These two pipes coming down and then into one collector here, as opposed to the OEM pipes, which you had both the pipes come down. You've got this crossover here, and then they both would exhaust out the rear. So you do get some scavenging from the OEM headers, but I do think in terms of flow, these look just like a much straighter shot and should be much better. So we'll see how that is on the bike. I do have to reuse the flanges off of the OEM header and transfer those over to the Rinehart header. And then there's also some work that has to be done with the footboard. Push that out a little bit. Now this is where you can see I did have these pipes welded on in an attempt to have a new bung location to retrofit in these wide bands. It just did not work. This location is pretty much the only spot that I could get these things to get enough clearance on these cylinder heads, where the OEM location was the only spot available. So we'll see if it works out with the Rinehart pipes. I'm a little bit worried when I get to that point, but we'll see how that goes. So now we'll install these new exhaust gaskets. Looks like it's all going to fit there perfectly. There are some instructions that give you different configurations for different models. Some of this is a bit of trial and error, but not very difficult to figure out. They give you some different bolts here that you can kind of pick and choose from with spacers. I think I'm going to need the 1/4 inch spacer, so we'll kind of see how this fits. But again, this is somewhat model specific. Okay, so getting to the front bolt here on the front cylinder, it's a bit of work. So if you don't have good swivel sockets, I suggest you get some before you take part in this project, because you're going to need them. So here goes our first fire up of the new exhaust, just real quick. Seems to work. I did get a check engine light though, so we'll see what that's all about. Okay, so this is going to be a two-part video. I got everything all done. It took me a couple hours yesterday morning to get the exhaust factory off, and then a few hours last night to get it on, and then going through and doing the wideband O2 sensors. There is a lot here to cover in one video, so I did decide to do this in two parts because otherwise it would be way too long and there's just kind of too much to cram in here. So again, if you guys are interested in this 2-in-1 from Rinehart, go check out Maxwell's Motorcycles. He does have it listed on his website. And as I stated before, if you go over to maxwellsmotorcycles.com and see that something isn't listed, give a call over to their shop, because John can get you pretty much anything you need. I just think this is a good spot to leave it now, because I did run into some issues with the wideband O2 sensors and the DynoJet Power Vision that I was able to figure out on my own, but there's kind of more to talk about there, and getting it all wired in, there's just kind of a lot. So again, stay tuned for part 2, which will probably be out not this week, but probably 2 weeks after this video posts. Now, I took this out on a ride earlier, and
back end just got squirrely on me. That never happens. My Lord.
I will say they sound fantastic. I think these pipes, compared to the Tab Performance that I had on there, the medium baffles, they sound, I'm gonna say, a little bit similar, but this sounds more refined. It just has a deeper bellow, a more satisfying bellow, and I think that just comes from having the complete headers the whole system, and then also with the widebands. Even with the check engine light, when I test rode it earlier today, which I'll have to put some more miles on it now that I've got the check engine light to go away, even with that check engine light on, this thing just ran. It was smoother through the power band. So it pulled better off the line and just felt more refined. That's the word that I'll keep coming back to, is refined power. I was worried these pipes weren't going to look right on this bike black, because I've always thought the Heritage did a really good job of balancing the blacked out look with a little bit of sprinkled in chrome there for a nod to the old school. I think this looks absolutely killer. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Again, please go check out maxwellsmotorcycles.com. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. I will see you guys next time.